It's time for Talking Pints. I'm very pleased to be joined by, I'm going to say, one of the most recognised sportsmen in Britain, Duncan Goodhew. Duncan.
It's the head that does it, doesn't it?
I know. Isn't it an odd thing, in your case, sort of adversity has become the Duncan Goodhew brand, but it meant, years after the Olympics, everyone recognises you in the street and knows who you are.
Well, I haven't gone grey or lost any hair. I look the same. Well,
you haven't
apart from one or two wrinkles creeping in there.
And it was the boyhood. You fell out of a tree. Yeah,
I fell out of a tree. And in fact, the guy who built the salt course also taught me how to swim. So he lost my hair for me.
Yeah,
but he also gave me a way out too. But the dyslexia was a much bigger issue for me. Not being able to read properly at school and everything, that was a real struggle.
Because on the one hand, you had quite a privileged opportunity. You went to Millfield School down in Somerset. Great school. Obviously, fantastic sporting school.
Well, where else could I go? I was bald, dyslexic, and could swim. So Millfield was on the list.
So how did you cope with lessons and things like that?
It was a real challenge, but fortunately, I suppose my IQ's okay because I was rocking around with my brother's friends, 2.5 years older than me, and there was very specific problems with certain things, and reading was one of them. And later on, I went on to American University and studied business management. So it's not that I'm not able to do the academics; it's on the back foot. But it's one of the greatest things because the swimming was a lifeline that was thrown to me by Tony Roberts, this swim teacher, PE teacher, coach. And I didn't have the problem that most people have. Well, so many people have is. They're so good at so many things, they can't pick which ones to be good at. It was very clear to me.
Do you know what? I think it's one of the greatest skills in life. Find the thing that you're good at.
Yeah.
And that you love.
And what's made a massive difference, and I think we really underestimate, is the amount people give you permission to succeed. And throughout my life, I've had absolutely fantastic people that have just empowered me to believe that it's possible. It's that kind of thing, believing in me more than I believe in myself, and that really helps you. I think was it Gore Vidal once said, "When a friend does well, a bit of me dies inside." Do you want to be like that, or do you want to be like the founder of Millfield, Boss Meyer? Who asked a question. I mean, I just tried to swim a medley in my interview for Millfield, aged 12, 13, and I couldn't swim butterfly. And to give you an idea, Sharon Davis went to the Olympic Games at the age of 12, and she could definitely swim butterfly. Because it was a medley, it's 4 lengths, I cut one of the lengths out, the butterfly length. And ended at the wrong end of the pool. And yes, Nigel, there's a wrong end of the pool. And the coach came up and he said, you're at the wrong end of the... And I had to admit that I'd failed to swim butterfly, and I tried to drown myself and I failed too. And I got out and I was trudging up to Boss Meyer's office, looking at my stitching on my shoes, so downcast. And Boss Meyer walked up and he looked down at me and he said, Paddy, to the coach who was walking with me, he said, will he swim for the school? I couldn't swim butterfly at the age that Sharon was swimming in the Olympics. And the coach said, he'll swim for the school. And Boss Meyer was staring into my soul, a bit too close to me, and I'm looking up here in the background. He said, swim for the school, the county, the district, the country, and he'll probably go beyond that. My parents...
Yeah, the talent was there.
What do you want? Would you prefer to be a boss or a Gore Vidal,
No, I get it. But it's interesting, isn't it? People believed in you and you got the scholarship, over to North Carolina. The Montreal Olympics are really interesting, aren't they? You're 19.
Yeah.
You're...
Green.
Overconfident. We were overconfident going into it.
Well, I had some of the best times in the world at the time. I'd phoned up my mother and said, are you coming to Montreal? And she said, the team hasn't been selected. And I said, it's not a question of whether I'm going, it's which medal I'm going to win. And she said, don't be so cocky, and didn't book the ticket, sadly. But it was...
You came seventh?
Yeah, seventh.
And that was failure?
Well, I mean, at the time, you'd go in to a holding room just before the event. So it was 3 walls of glass, double glazed, one-way glass. You could see out, nobody could see in. And they'd hold you there for your race. And I went in there, and the door closed behind, and it kind of hermetically sealed. And the silence began. And here I was, with the 7 other fastest people in the world, the lions, the gods of my sport. And after a few seconds, I said, I don't feel so good. And the whole, I suppose, issue around it is, why me? Who me, why me? Who me? I'm just from West Sussex. And why me? Why should I be the best in the world? And for me, that was just a disaster at that point, because I broke down, really, because I couldn't win. And I couldn't break through, and that's partly, I think, to do with evolutionary responses. You're very nervous. You've got adrenaline going. And it's only as you learn to manage those that you can really move forward.
So a lot of this is in the mind, isn't it?
Well, for me, it was all in the mind, pretty much. Oh, of course, you've got to do the work.
Yeah. You get to Moscow. It's a controversial Olympics, but then, hey, when doesn't sport and politics collide? I mean, it happens all the time.
Yeah, no, it was a tough one. I mean, it was...
it was a tough one, but, you went, and Sebco went, and all the rest of it, and you win. And you're Duncan Goodhew, and you're distinctive looking, and everyone's going to know who you are, literally forever. What was it like standing on that top podium?
Well, I think it was a process. For 2 years, I'd realised that I needed to break this who me, why me, and I'd worked not just with coaches. We'd pulled in a leading psychoanalyst to try and help me, and so there was a lot of visualisation and a lot of emotionalisation. So actually, when I was in that room again, I was so prepared that, I sat down and read a book, and everybody was looking, why is he reading a book? And I knew that I'd won by that time.
Psychologically, you're then mystical.
Yeah. And when I came up to breathe 25 metres to go, I remember saying, the chimp on the shoulder, the proverbial chimp turned to the gorilla, if you don't do something, you're not going to win. And all of the work and all the people that supported me were there. And I said, and that's totally absurd. So touching the end was almost, it was what was trained for so long that it wasn't a surprise.
But it's still a magic moment.
It was a whole pulling together of my life, being bald dyslexic, facing things. Yeah. And it was all positive and really brilliant.
Now, you're an absolute evangelist for swimming at all levels. You've got
to be.
No. Tell us about your big swimathon project.
Yeah, I mean, we've been running a swimathon for many years now, and it's the 12th to 14th of May, so anybody's welcome. There are 450 pools taking part, but how special it is, it's such a force for good. Our swimmers have raised over £55 million for charity, Nigel. And at this time when pools need to be used, please, out there, go and have a swim, enjoy yourselves, and support our swimming.
Because it's a very mixed sport pastime at the moment, isn't it? You've got this growth of what they call it wild swimming. It's just swimming in the sea, from what I can make of it. But that's back, and as I sort of mentioned to you in the green room, the Kent coast in the summer, there are thousands of people in the water swimming, and you wouldn't have seen that even 5 years ago. And yet our swimming pools are having a really difficult time.
Yeah, we've had the energy problem, and the government, thankfully, have agreed to support the energy price increases, so that they get relief from the government. Yeah. When you whittle it down, it's only £23 million for pools. Now, given how many private, public swimming pools it's peanuts. And the other issue is we've got a lot of old swimming pools from the 70s that you'll remember, and I
They were new when I was a kid.
and now they need rebuilding, and unless the government really needs to sit down, because before COVID, swimming was the most popular sport. There were more people swimming than cycling or jogging or any of the other sports. So it's what people do. We're an island of swimmers.
Interesting. Well, you're going to go on evangelising for swimming, I can tell that. And it's an absolute delight to have you on the programme. And all I can say, really, well done you.
Cheers, Nigel.
Duncan Goodhew, brilliant. Thank you.